Hello students, welcome to the science class. Now, as we were doing the chapter number 12, that is reproduction in plants, and we had discussed some questions of NCERT. So today we will continue with the NCERT question discussion, that is question number 7, 8 and 9. So first one, how does the process of fertilization take place in flower? Okay, now I hope all of you know that the fertilization definition. What is fertilization? That is the process in which the male gamete present in the pollen grains fuses with the female gamete present in the ovule to form a new cell, which is known as the zygote. Okay, so fertilization is the process of union of the male gamete which is present in the pollen grain and the female gamete which is present in the ovule. They unite with one another and they form a new cell which is known as the zygote. Okay, so now we'll discuss how the process of fertilization take place. Now when the pollen grains they fall on the stigma of the pistil, the pollen grain grows pollen tube downward through the style towards the female gamete in the ovary. Think what happens. First, pollen grain is falling onto the stigma. How it is falling? It is carried by different agents you had learned. And then pollen grain from the anther they are falling onto the stigma. What is stigma? It is the female reproductive part. That is the female reproductive part has got three parts. The above-most portion is the stigma, the cylindrical portion, tube-like portion is the style, and the basal portion is the ovary. So the pollen grain from anther coming into the stigma, and then it moves downward through the style and then reaches ultimately to the ovary. A male gamete then moves down the pollen tube. Where was the male gamete? Male gamete was present in the pollen grain. It is coming through the style or moves down through the pollen tube. Now, pollen tube enters the ovule in the ovary. Where does the ovule present? Within the ovary. So, pollen tube enters into the ovary and meets with the ovule. That means the tip of the pollen tube burst and the male gamete which was inside the pollen tube coming out, and then it is meeting with the ovule. So in the ovary, the male gamete of the pollen combines with the female gamete present in the ovule, and after uniting with each other they are forming the fertilized egg cell which is known as the zygote, which then develop into embryo. Next question, describe the various ways by which seeds are dispersed. Now before that we must know what is seed dispersal. That is the seeds from as the after the development of the seed, instead of falling into the same place, it dispersed everywhere. Why do they for not, I mean, it is important for seed to the seed to disperse, because had it been fallen in same place, it would there would have been severe competition with the sunlight, with the space, with the nutrient, and ultimately the it will be not I mean helpful for all the plants to grow. That is why seed dispersal is very much essential. Now, some light seeds like the drumstick, the maple, the sunflower, they are hairy and they are small, dry, which are carried away by the wind to the various places. So, they are wind dispersed by wind. Next one is there are some spiny seeds, that is the seeds and the fruits with spine, like xanthium, urena. they get stick to the cloth of the passerby or cloth of the animals or maybe skin. Anyway, these seeds are then they carried away by these agents to the different places. Okay, next one is seeds of water lily has spongy outer covering and coconut has fibrous outer covering. Water lily has spongy outer covering, coconut has fibrous outer covering. They allow the seeds to float in the water and they are dispersed through different places. I mean, through water to different places. And then the seeds of balsam and castor, these are transported or these are dispersed by explosive mechanism. So what we had learned, first one we had learned that the seeds which are hairy, seeds which are light, they move out through the wind. Next one is the spiny seed or the fruits like the xanthium, urena. These are sticking to the cloths of those animals or the passerby, and they are moving to the different places. Or then the water transporting through the water, that is the water lily, and the coconut has a fibrous outer covering which allows them to float in the water, or they are transported or dispersed through water. And another, that is the seeds of balsam and castor, these are transported through explosive mechanism. The next question is the match the column. Here in the column 1, you had seen bud, eyes, fragmentation, wings, spores, and column 2 are the maple, spirogyra, yeast, bread mold, potato. You have to match the column 1 with the column 2. So, what will be the answer? First one is bud. So, bud has which which organism has the reproductive method as bud? Yes, it is the yeast. Okay. Next one is eyes, where you can see the eyes, in which organism, in which uh, uh, thing you can see the eye, excepting human or excepting the animals. I'm talking about the plants. This is the potato. Fine. Next is the fragmentation. Which plant reproduce asexually by fragmentation? Spirogyra. Wings are maple, and the spore is the bread mold. So from this discussion, from this we had seen that column A contains five mechanisms or five specified structures, which is matching with the column two's five organisms or five things which has those structure. Okay, so here is the NCERT questions 7, 8, 9. Okay, so in the next class again we will discuss some other questions. Till then, all of you stay safe. Thank you.